Well, hello, hello. It's Garland Nixon here. Vladimir Putin spoke today at the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. Said some pretty interesting things. We're going to review them, see if we can make any sense out of it. Let's talk. Well, hello, Garland Nixon here. And thanks for coming on a Friday night. Don't forget, tomorrow morning, I'm going to have again Scott Ritter and Ray McGovern, 10 a.m. Saturday morning, bringing those guys back. We're going to do an update. It's June 18th update on everything. We've got plenty to talk about. So be there on YouTube and or hopefully even more importantly on Rockfin. Rockfin allows you to do tips and YouTube has I think I've got my what do you call it? Super chats are back, and we're going to have a lot of fun. And I appreciate everyone. Don't forget, if you're a member of YouTube, make sure you join Rockfin. Also, in case they toss me to the dogs. All right. Let's talk about this. So let me start on this, saying this about Vladimir Putin. Let's start talking about Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin, to me, is a perfect example of propaganda. Here's what I mean. Having lived in the United States for my entire life, I've noticed that we always have a evil, vicious dictator, a boogeyman of some type for the American people to be afraid of, or a boogie ideology or something. There's always something out there for the American people to be afraid of, and they use that against us. And at times, I feel like they could take Mickey Mouse and turn him into an evil dictator. And it has been my experience, whether it's Assad, Maduro, anyone, Vladimir Putin, Xi, anyone, that when the US media goes into hyperdrive and works to turn whoever the villain of the day into some horrible, unthinkable thing that we should fear, that when you look into it, it's a lot more nuanced. Even when you look at Osama bin Laden, you come to realize something. Yes, was he a leader of a brutal cult, you might say? I agree. That's that we're not going to. I'm not trying to say he's a good guy, but I'm saying what you find out is the United States started and funded the brutal cult. We were the U.S. Zbigniew Brzezinski is the George Washington of ISIS, you might say. He's the father of their country. So even when you see someone who you say is really a bad guy, you realize that he's the US's bad guy, and they used him until such time as he was, they used him as a tool for their policies until he became more valuable as a boogeyman and a foil for them to push against, right? When I look into Vladimir Putin, the more I research Vladimir Putin, oh, he's evil, he's a dictator. The more I look into the Russian government, I don't see that. I don't see an evil guy. Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see a dictator. One of the things I see is this: it's almost like China or anyone. All they do is they make accusation after accusation. The Chinese government is evil. Why? Because of Xinjiang. And when you look in Xinjiang, you're like, well, there's nothing there. Oh, there's this tennis player, Ping something or other. And you look into it and she comes out. She's like, what are you kidding? You be kidding me? Nothing happened to me. And you look at Hong Kong and it's like, oh, the people there were protesting against the evil government. You come to find out that it's just another color revolution of violent protesters that are funded by the US government again. And then you go to Russia and you look at Putin and you see accusation after accusation, but every accusation has more holes in it than Swiss cheese. And you're like, so you make 100 accusations against Putin that he's an evil guy. When I look into him, every one of them's got a lot of holes in it, but you just say, well, there's so many of them. How could you not believe them? So my evaluation of Vladimir Putin, I will be frank with you. I'll be frank with you. I see Russia as a country that's run in a very bureaucratic fashion, as a kind of an old school fashion. So he's far from a dictator in my opinion. I do think I'll tell you what I think Vladimir Putin is in Russia. I think he's beloved by the Russian people that's a whole show to talk about why. But they see him as the FDR. The Russian people see Vladimir Putin as a guy that came in and their country was down and broke and poor, and he was able to um, develop the economy. Certainly, when you get outside of the major cities, I mean, I understand. I don't make any excuses for Russia. It is what it is. It's a country that was nothing 30 years ago, that was totally impoverished after the Soviet Union broke down. But when you get outside of the major cities, there's still a lot of impoverished and poor areas, but it's growing, it's building from where it was. It's come a long ways, and it's now a world power, and it seems to be building. Right. And Vladimir Putin seems to be a nationalist, the kind of nationalist that says, I love my country and I'm standing up for my country. You should love yours too. That's your business, how you do your country. And so when I see all of that stuff, the idea that Putin's some evil, crazy dictator, when you look into the details and research that trope doesn't hold. It just doesn't hold up. All right, so let's go and let's talk about what happened today. Vladimir Putin was at the the SPIEF, St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. He gave a speech. We're going to hit the highlights. We're going to hit the high points. We're going to hit the low points. We're going to hit some kind of point. Oh, what the hell? We're hitting points. How's that? We're hitting points. Let's go. Let's start here. Make this thing a little bigger. All right. So what did Vladimir Putin say? And we'll comment on it. He said, so we'll start off. When the U.S. declared victory in the Cold War, Americans designated themselves the messengers of God on earth, with interests that should be considered sacred and no obligations. Putin told the audience, new centers of power have since emerged and have the right to protect their own systems, economic models, and sovereignty. I can't see anything there I agree with. I can't see anything. All you have to do is look at Tony Blinken and look at Victoria Nuland and look at Dick Cheney and look at this whole business of American exceptionalism. America is the indispensable nation. It's bullcrap. America is just another country. America is no more sacred or non-sacred than Eritrea. It's just a country. The fact that you have economic and military power does not mean that you're better than some other country. It just means that you have it. If you and I are sitting side by side in a chair and I have a gun and you don't, does that make me more sacred and somehow more powerful? No, I just happen to have a weapon that you don't have. I see that as a responsibility to treat other people with decency, which the nutcases like Tony Blinken and Mike Pompeo and all of these people don't. They're crazy. They're vicious, narcissistic sociopaths and psychopaths. So I agree with that. These truly revolutionary, and I'm going to read what he's saying, revolutionary tectonic changes in geopolitics, the global economy, in the technological sphere, in the entire system of international relations are fundamentally pivotal and inexorable, Putin said. It is a mistake to suggest that one can wait out the times of turbulent change and that things will return to normal, that everything will be as it was. It will not. So what he's saying is to the U.S., look, you're thinking somehow that you're going to get back to the moment where everybody listens to you and they do what they're told. That ain't happening. That somehow you can deal with this Ukraine thing, and after that, it'll be the United States, the unipolar power. Not happening. Not happening. It's over. Game over. People ain't putting up with that crap anymore. Sorry. The cat is out of the bag, and there's no way to put it back in. And the U.S. is trying to drag NATO around and drag the EU around, saying we're going to make this world still the puppet to the United States. It ain't happening. People aren't listening anymore, and that's a fact. All right. Anti-Russian sanctions backfired on the West. Well, that's an easy one. That's an easy one. How about this? The people in Latvia and Poland are wandering aimlessly through the woods, picking up firewood of 7 centimeters or less. They're literally wandering the forest for firewood. But to say that the sanctions backfired is an understatement. These people are in the Stone Ages. They will be eating, they will be living off of wild onions and gruel soon. So yes, the sanctions have backfired to say the least. But here's the other part of it. Okay, These people are stupid. They didn't think their sanctions through. And now they're getting what stupid people get. This is what you get if you're stupid. Hey, I wonder what will happen if I stick my hand on this hot stove. Ow, that hurts. That's what idiots get. You stick your hand on a hot stove, you get burned. And I'm going to sanction Venezuela, Iran. Oh, Iran. Oh, wait a minute. There's the world's commodity nation, number one in wheat, number 1, 2, 3 in oil and gas and all these other things. Yeah, I'll sanction them. Oh, wait a minute. Gee, why'd the price of wheat and food and all this stuff go? Can't figure it out. This is what idiots get. So this natural course of lunacy has taken its place. And he's right. These such sanctions has backfired. He said, the European Union has completely lost its political sovereignty. That's where I disagree with him. Here's what I mean. You can't lose, as Earth, Wind, and Fire said, you can't lose what you never had. See, rather than the European completely lost its sovereignty, the reality has been exposed that the European Union never had sovereignty. They are nothing but puppets for the United States, and now the puppets are telling the puppet master is telling these idiots to beat their head up against a brick wall, and they're doing it. So no, he missed that one. He said they don't have sovereignty. That implies that they've lost it. You had to have it to lose it. Its bureaucratic elites are dancing to someone else's tune, accepting whatever they are told from above, causing harm to their own population. Boy, he's preaching to the choir there. And their own economy, Putin said. He said EU citizens will pay the price for decisions divorced from reality and taken contrary to common sense. That's a fact. What they're doing is contrary to common sense. But as we know, common sense amongst our leaders is rarely common practice. So yes, the sanctions backfired, and these idiots are doing what the U.S. told them. And even the U.S. Look at us. We're over here paying some ungodly price for gas. A friend of mine just told me today that their rent went up $400 a month. They just were notified. Oh yeah, your lease is up. Yeah, it's going up $400 a month. And what are they going to go find? They've got a really nice apartment. What are they going to do? Go find another one? It ain't going to be cheaper. They're going to have to move down to the ghetto if they're going to get rid of that. And they ain't doing that. So they just got to pay the price. And that think about that. $400 a month. That's a car payment. That's a lot of things. That's your savings for some people, stuff like that. That's what we're up to. That's what we're up against here in the United States. Thanks there, Joe Brandon. All right. Next, he says, energy prices and inflation are self-inflicted. The prosecution rests. Blaming the high energy prices and inflation in the West on Russia, Putin's price hikes, as the White House put it, is a stupidity and designed for people who can't read or write, the Russian president said. You know what? I agree. I agree with that. You got to be damn stupid. And trust me, there are people, but no, they're these idiots right now, they're so busy either watching the January 6th trials or something like that they don't really have time to figure these things out. Lunatics and idiots. You know what kills me? For 4 years, these high and mighty, pink hat wearing, wokesters. Oh, they were so arrogant talking about the Trump people. Oh, they're stupid. Why did they vote against their own interest? Oh, those Trump people. Oh, they're Nazis. Remember this? They were Nazis. They were voting against their own interest. They were just poor, stupid idiots. And now, look at you guys. Look at the wokesters. There's no group of people on earth. Let me ask you this. How are their policies? Hey, they're wokesters. You're in charge. How's things working out there? The Trumpsters were so stupid. You guys are so smart. And now the wokesters are in charge. We got BLM masks everywhere. We got rainbow flags falling from the sky. We got all the things you love. Now, if you want food, fuel for your vehicle, and maybe, a little recreation every now, you're out of luck. You ain't getting that. Now you can go to Walmart, and they've actually got a pride section in Walmart where they got like the rainbow stuff and all that kind of stuff, right? But who's got money that even wants to buy that? If somebody wants to buy a pride shirt, they don't have money to do it because all their money went in the gas tank. So what they do is they give you the illusion of equality. They give you the illusion of a moral and ethical society. But that's all you get is the illusion. You don't get the real thing. All right, let's see what else he says. Oh, he said the EU blindly believing in renewable sources and abandoning long-term natural gas contracts with Russia led to the spike in energy prices last year. Here's the thing about it. He's right. Here's the thing. I'm an environmentalist, and I believe that we should be moving towards renewable energy for any number of reasons. We don't. I mean, if it's possible to do renewable energy, why burn anything if you can get it for free, right? If you can get it, whatever. Here's the thing about it, but you must be realistic about it, right? See, here's the truth of the matter. Let me give you the truth on the green energy thing. And I'm a person who's an environmentalist, and I believe we will all be better off if we use renewable energy because let's say we find out we can get it from the sun or the tides or whatever the hell we can create it, then we can just continually get it and we don't have to burn anything or do anything. It makes life easier. We don't have to emit any carbon crap, whatever. I'm for doing something that makes it easier and cheaper and environmentally neutral. There's no argument to be made that that ain't a good idea. However, what these idiots did was they put up a couple stinking windmills, right? And then they're like, okay, there we go. Shut everything down. The windmills are going. And then like the wind didn't blow enough and they didn't have it. So here's the thing about it. Here's the truth that I believe. Let's take the Biden administration. If you think the Biden administration really wants green energy and to do something about climate change and to move towards get off of fossil fuels, you are really naive. Their power comes from they see the world as a power dynamic, as a chessboard. And they see their power coming from controlling the flow of energy, whether it's gas or oil or whatever, right? So if everybody can get energy free, that's one less thing they can use for coercion and manipulation. So what the Brandon administration has to do is fool the poor bastards that are still stupid enough to follow either one of these parties in this country, fool them into believing that he really wants to do something about green energy when he doesn't. That's what he's trying to do. He doesn't give a crap about green energy. But he has to give out the idea. He has to give out a thin veneer of greenness, but underneath is nothing but black oil. He's bull crapping. And you know what? The wokesters want to believe that their guy is the guy that's pushing for green energy, so they're going to believe it. So that's it. He get out of here. He has no thought. Come on. The guy is owned by petrochemical. He's owned by the biggest corporations in the world. And I'm saying both parties are. So the idea that they're going to push for green energy, no, they're not. They're going to put up a couple of stinking windmills and say this will work. And then it ain't going to. They don't want electric cars because if they wanted electric cars, you know what they would do? They would have to rebuild our infrastructure. Let me ask you this. Let's just say tomorrow they gave everybody in the United States an electric car. Can you see everybody in your neighborhood in the grid at the same time plugging in to charge the cars? How would our grid handle it? It can't handle a hot day with air conditioner. Our grid is like from the 50s. So it certainly would need to be upgraded in order to do electric cars. If everybody had electric cars, if a quarter of the people. And let me ask you this. The electric charging stations, how many of them are there? If everybody had how many people could get to the electric charging stations? There'd be lines 50 miles long. We don't have the infrastructure for electric cars, and we don't have the infrastructure on purpose because they don't want electric cars. Let's be realistic. They're bullcrapping you. So yes, I'm all for green energy. I'm for renewable energy, and I'm for complete renewable energy. Yes, because it's the cheapest thing, it's the cleanest thing, and all of that. But let's not fool ourselves into thinking that the people running this thing now want to do that. They don't, or that they're going to make any effort to do that. You're fooling yourself if you believe they are. They're going to try to find a way to make more money. That's all they do. It's what they do. That's who they are. So yes. Okay, next. Putin says elite change awaits the West, right? He said policies undertaken by EU and US leaders are exacerbating inequalities and divisions in their societies, not just in terms of welfare, but in terms of values, orientations of various groups. Such a detachment from reality, from the demands of society, will inevitably lead to a surge of populism, the growth of radical movements, serious social and economic changes, degradation, and in the near future, to a change of elites. He is right. Governments, look, the Bulgaria government's falling apart. I think the Latvian or Slovakian government, I don't remember which one, has always already fallen. Bojo's got one foot in the grave and the other on a patch of ice politically. There's all of these they're going to fall. Biden, I mean, come on, look at that. They're going to get wiped out. wiped out in November, I think. I believe they're going to get totally, completely wiped out because things are going to get worse. So he's right. The elites are corrupt. The elites are incompetent, and they will be replaced. Probably the only problem is that around here, they're going to be replaced with equally corrupt and incompetent morons. If there's a famine, it won't be Russia's fault. He says U.S. and EU sanctions against Russia, in particular fertilizer and grain exports, are one of the reasons for growing global food insecurity. He says, if there's a famine in the world's poorest countries, this will be entirely on the conscience of the U.S. administration and the European bureaucracy. Absolutely, absolutely. Because what happened? Because the Russians literally, in writing, gave the U.S. and the EU a list of demands and said, let's negotiate on the demands. And the U.S. said, we're not even going to listen to it. That ain't even a starting point. And the EU said, nah, forget it. You have no sphere of influence. They refused. So this... And furthermore, let me add this. Right now, they can't get the grain out of, they're saying they can't get the grain out of Ukraine. Why is that? Because the Ukrainians mine their own ports, and they won't get rid of the mines because they said they're afraid the Russians will attack them. Whatever the case, you can't blame the Russians for that. The Russians said you can take grain out of the ports. They said, now we're going to leave our ports mined. Well, how are you going to blame the Russians for that? Reasons for the Ukraine conflict. He says because the West refused to abide by its obligations, it was simply impossible to reach any new agreements with them. The decision was forced but necessary. And he says they had every right to defend their security, protect its citizens and its residents of Donbass from genocide by the Kiev regime and neo-Nazis who received the full protection of the West. I don't know where do I go there? Do I say that's wrong? Do I say that Ukraine wasn't full of neo-Nazis? Do I say that that the Russians didn't try to reach new agreements? They had an agreement called the Minsk Accord, and the Russians continually said to the Ukrainians, the French, the English, the U.S., the Germans, look, we got an agreement. How come you guys will not tell the Ukrainians they have to abide by that agreement? And former President Petro Poroshenko recently admitted, he said, well, the Minsk Accords were just a ruse. We just did that so we would have time to build up our military. He admitted that. So the Russians make a deal for peace, and what they find out is the West just said, we just wanted to hold you off till we could rebuild our military and cut your throat. It was all a lie. So that's why I say this. You think the Russians are going to strike a deal with the West now? You got another thing coming. Economic development is an expression of sovereignty. He says, listen to this. In the 21st century, sovereignty can't be partial. All of its elements are equally important and completely complement each other, and the economy is one of them. There are 5 key principles Russia will follow in economic development: openness, freedom, social justice, infrastructure, technological sovereignty. Russia will never follow the path of self-isolation and autarky, meaning to do everything within your own country, to be pretty much isolated, but will expand interactions with anyone who wishes to trade. Putin added, there are many such countries. Moscow will support private enterprise, build and repairs, transportation, and blah, blah, blah. And he says this: truly sovereign states are always committed to equal partnerships. And while those who are weak and dependent, as a rule, are busy looking for enemies, planning xenophobia, or finally losing their originality, independence, blindly following the overlord. You hear what he's talking about? He's talking about Europe. He's saying basically they're weak and dependent on the U.S. True. They're always looking for enemies, Russia, China, whoever. They're looking for Russia and China. They're planning xenophobia and blindly following the overlord. We know that's the U.S. So the issue of sovereignty is important because I am a sovereigntist. I believe, unlike, what kills me, you got a lot of conservatives who I think are like idiots, who are just as big idiots. They're the red idiots versus the blue idiots. The only difference between them is they want to hate China and the blue idiots want to hate Russia. That's the only difference. And they can't even see it. They're like, oh my God, do you believe how stupid these Democrats are? They just believe Putin's evil and the Russians are evil. It's absurd. And they're just being led around by the nose by their stupid leader of their party, Joe Biden. And then the leader of their party will go, yeah, Russia's evil. Oh my God, the Communist Party, they destroy the world. They must be stopped. We got to go to war with them. So, I have no respect for these 2 brainwashed cults that call themselves Democratic parties. I believe in sovereignty. You know what? Like 91% of the people in Russia now support Putin and the war. Sovereignty says it's their country. And if somebody talks to me about sovereignty for Ukraine, that's a lie. The United States overthrew the government of Ukraine in 2014. How can you ever argue that a country is sovereign when you overthrew the government and installed a puppet government? Right now, am I lying? Help me out. Right now, who's paying the salaries of every politician in Ukraine? Who's paying for the pensions? Who's paying for the medical care? Who's paying for the policemen and the firemen? Who's paying for all of that stuff in Ukraine right now? The United States completely pays the budget of Ukraine. How the hell can the United States pay the salaries of the politicians, pay Zelensky's salary, all the people around, we pay their salaries? How in the hell can we argue that that's a sovereign nation? The U.S. is paying the salaries. It's absurd. And that's that. Holy moly, that is it. Wow. So, but the bottom line is, that's let's see what we got from a few people here. Let's go to Rockfin. Oh my gosh, we got some Rockfinners. After your interview with Ray McGovern and Scott Ritter, people should go to the Schiller Institute YouTube channel and listen to Geoff Young. Yeah, I know some Schiller Institute people, brilliant people. Harley Schlanger, Dennis Speed, really, really smart people. Schiller Institute people. For those who are wondering, the Schiller Institute people, yes, that is the Lyndon LaRouche organization. And they were painted as crazies and kooks for years. You know, that's what people did. But I'm going to tell you right now, go listen to Harley Schlanger. Go listen to Dennis Speed. Make up your mind for yourself. Those are brilliant guys. They understand history and geopolitics. Let's see what else we got. Dr. Nixon. I haven't heard that in a long time. Democratic congressional candidate Geoff Young will be speaking tomorrow afternoon at the Schiller Institute conference. His topic would be why the U.S. should join the Belt and Road Initiative. Wow, that's awesome. All right. Anything else we got here? Jimmy Dore 24. What we got here? We all did, unfortunately, Newton. How we got here, how we ended with such low moral standard of our politicians shamelessly throwing narcissistic tantrums. Yeah, I mean, come on. Could anyone be crazier than our boy, the Secretary of State, Blinken? He's a complete fruitcake. At any rate, I want to thank everybody. I'm going to get some sleep. I'm going to get out of here, get myself together here shortly because I got to get up in the morning and go out and get a cup of coffee and wiggle my toes a little bit before I speak with, look at what we're seeing here. Nixon Dore 24. How about Dore Nixon 24? How about that? Yeah, I love Jimmy Dore. I'd love to see him run. You know, believe it or not, this is going to sound crazy. You may believe this. I've often thought about running for president. Many times I've thought, you know, if I wasn't doing anything, if my job disappeared tomorrow or something like that, and I didn't have anything to do, I'd run. Just for the hell of it. Why not? You know what I mean? You got nothing to lose. And knowing that like the CIA would rub me out, I'd be like, "Hey, I'm running for president. Hey, this is an interesting little black satchel sitting." Say, boom. They rubbed me out quick. But you know, you got to go doing something. So why the hell not running for president, right? Yeah, look at everybody be all for it. Okay, well, thanks a lot, guys. So I'm going to be here tomorrow morning. Don't forget the super chats are back on. I certainly appreciate people keeping the doing what they can to keep the channel going. In the show notes, I've got my PayPal information. I've got my information for Rockfin. Please become a Rockfin. Become a subscriber. That's free. I'd love it if you become a member. That's $9.99 a month. That really helps me also. And that allows you to see the premium, all the premium stuff, and to see, that allows you to see my premium content. But for that $9.99 a month, you can see the premium content for anybody on Rockfin. So I really appreciate those who can join Rockfin and become a member for $9.99 a month. And of course, you can become a subscriber for free. Thanks a lot. In the show notes, anybody who can join my Patreon page, patreon.com/Garland Nixon. I appreciate that. And of course, PayPal, whatever you can do to help the channel. We're trying to grow it. Got some things in the works. Man, geez, I don't know what's going on. We got some things in the works. But tomorrow morning, we're going to see what's happening. We're going to talk to Ray McGovern. We're going to talk to Scott Ritter. And that's going to be fun. 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks a lot, Kinky. Kinky's always in the house. Let's before we do this, as my main man, Caleb Maupin says names and locations, names and locations, names and locations. Let me look. Where are people from? I'm looking over here too. Where are you from? Names and locations. I know it's going to pop up in a minute. In a minute. Let's see where people are from. There's somebody from somewhere. Whoa. Hey, look at that. Parasocialite is from Maryland. We got somebody from another Marylander. I'm down here in Pasadena, Maryland, down near the Bay. We got Christian in northern New Jersey. Wow. Mr. Marmody in Annapolis. My buddy's got a place down on Arundel on the Bay in Annapolis. I'm gonna go down there and hang out on the pier tomorrow evening. Rajesh. Oh wow. Rajesh, Cambodia. How about this? Stanislav Donchov is in Sofia, Bulgaria. We got John Clements in Palm Beach. Diamond Hands in PG County. We got Tuga Livy in Australia. John Clements in Palm Beach. We got Grapentine from Shannon here from Oklahoma, but I'm from Oklahoma, living in Florida. How about Christopher's in Sunshine Coast, Australia? That's a scary place, man. Australia's got 9 of the 10 most poisonous snakes in the world. That gives me the creeps. How about we go, but I'm sure it's wonderful. I got friends there. How about, what's her name? Maram Susli, Syria girl, partisan girl. She's there. Good friend of mine. How about we go Bella Lugris in Charlottesville, Peter Devine, upstate New York, near Vermont. Hey, got friends up there. SJR, Putin outmaneuvered the US, EU shows he has a wise and functioning brain. How about Collinsville, Illinois from Borez 100? We got Bill Corvallis in Oregon. We got Kevin Brooks from Sonora, Texas. Man, we got so many people here. How about Patricia Williams from Toronto, Canada? Newton Eric from Indiana and Historical Progress. Sam in Chicago. All over the place, man. That is awesome. Thanks a lot, everybody. Barb and Jim in Portland, Oregon. I had a good friend in Portland, Oregon. I couldn't find Garland. Oh, he's down in that little box. Thanks a lot there, Kinky. BC, Camilla V. We can't ever forget Camilla V. Is in Camilla V. Where the hell are you? Oh, BC, Canada. Stan Weatherfield, aka California, Terry Connolly in Chapmanville, West Virginia. Thanks a lot, guys. I'm hitting this, and girls and all that kind of stuff. I'm hitting the sack, and I will see you all tomorrow at 10 a.m. along with Scott Ritter and Ray McGovern. Peace. I'm out.